Get your Godzilla figures at Big Bad Toy Store at the link in the description.
Dragon Ball, horror, kaiju, and more. Steven's Toy Reviews.
Hey there, Collector Steven here, and welcome to another SH Monster Arts review. We got so many coming out at once. We're going to take a little bit of a hiatus, and then we'll come back next year, right? Lots of fun stuff. SH Monster Arts. Monster Hunter's back in the house, but for right now, we have Final Wars goodness here. Final Wars goodness? Same sentence? Yeah, I said that. Today, we have a look at the SH Monster Arts Monster X. Again, does it stand for X-rated or extreme? We'll never know. Now, with Monster X here, we have another villain in the lineup and not a version of King Ghidorah. Will we see Kaiser Ghidorah in the future? I hope so, but this one is going to go toe-to-toe with your recently purchased, because you did pick him up, right? Godzilla 2004. However, initial reviews that went up showed a less than desirable figure. And when I opened mine up out of the box, it did have a little bit of a curved horn there. And, well, guys, we know how that happens sometimes, right? Anyway, with that being said, clocking in at about $120, is this going to be one that's going to be worth picking up, or should you just wait for the clearance bin? Let me give you a hint. This is going to be a P. Bandai release. Fine folks at Bandai Collectibles in the US were able to bring it over. So should you pick it up now or wait? Well, let's take a look to see whether or not Monster X is going to be worth adding into your collection. So again, as a recap, premium Bandai, P. Bandai releases, those are limited to the P. Bandai web shop. Most particularly, that's going to be in Japan. In the United States, we do have Bandai Collect, or what used to be known as Bluefin Distribution. They are able to bring most of all the SH Monster Arts figures to mass retail in the US. However, for catalog purposes, it is still defined as a premium Bandai release. So what that means is we have one made-to-order production run, and then it is done. We will not see a reissue. However, we may see a repaint or an exclusive edition in some way, shape, or form at some point down the line. That being said, in terms of the looks department, what do you want from Monster X? There are going to be a couple of things here and there on my particular unit that have quality control concerns. Most notably, in the unboxing video, mine had a bent horn, and on the third tail spike, there is a notable missing paint application at the tip of the tail spike. Kind of looks like it was scratched off. Otherwise, it was not captured well enough in the promo pictures. Monster X features an amazing pearlescent paint application on all of the bone parts. It looks phenomenal, and the blacks that are used for the skin, the sinewy bits, are really super dark. The teeth paint is acceptably and on brand, nice and messy with no real concerns except for one small issue on the left side of the main head. The red eyes feature metallic paint with no real concerns to make note of, so fantastic. Overall, for the looks department for Monster X, aside from those quality control issues, there's going to be one other thing. It seems like there is not a specific scheme for how they use the pearlescent paint. In some areas, it does look like a more so bright white color, and others, a bone coloration. It doesn't look like it's necessarily blended in or flows coherently in any one specific spot, but it all looks nice. Monster X looks great. All right, Articulation, and there's a good chance that you may have seen some reviews which unfortunately do not do this figure justice, especially if you did happen to check out some of the reviews when this first released. Again, first release is going to be when this hits the market, because the people who are in Japan, it's available. So Monster X's engineering is actually really good considering the, well, that's how you could change the hands. The engineering is, I would say, rather good considering the design, but we do have to really take into consideration where some improvements could have been made. So first and foremost, we have to talk about the heads collectively. So we do have the side heads, which are going to be on ball joints. So these do rock around from side to side, and you can kind of see it looks like the little claws there, or fangs, whatever those might be, those kind of move as well. So these can move up and down, rotate in and out, and that's going to be key to how you really move around the main head, right? So obviously, Monster X's head is very long, and it's kind of spiky. So Monster X can look up about that far, and can look down about that far with ease, no issues, right? So it's going to be on a ball joint, and I would assume maybe a hinge system. There's also going to be a ball joint here for the neck, so this way you can move Monster X there at the neck as well. So obviously you can turn from side to side, but by default you're going to be like, oh, wait a minute. That's about all the range of movement. Well, guess what? If you go ahead and you just move the heads to accommodate, oh, look at that. Now, all of a sudden, Monster X can look much farther from side to side. Who would have thought if you used all the joints together, then there would be no issues. And as you can clearly see there, if you push too hard, thankfully, nothing breaks. It just pops off. And as you can see, it's going to be on a ball joint. So let me just go ahead and pop that back on. Bada bing, bada boom, we're good to go. Now, for design-wise, I'm a little confused as to what exactly may be going on here, but nevertheless, we do have ball-jointed shoulders. It looks like we do have a butterfly hinge system, which allows you to move the arms forward and back just a little bit. And since we do have ball joints there, we can raise and lower Monster X's arms. Due to the extra heads there, they are going to interfere with the articulation in terms of raising and lowering the arms. So that is definitely going to be something you want to keep in mind. However, you can clearly see that there are going to be pins there. Those pins hide, I guess, a hinge. So this way you can move the arms in and out, which is very odd because, okay, let me take a look at, let's say, Spider-Man here. Let me get Monster X posed standing up. So when you do have that sort of hinge, right, his hand came off, you can get him to get into a T-pose. You can see that here. But that's not the case there, especially with that pin joint, which is rather odd because that indicates clearly that there's a hinge. But it doesn't really raise up too far to the side, which I think is rather odd because that's about the extent he can T-pose. Once again, that's how you swap out the hands. Thank you, Monster X. Thank you. But with that being said, you can still get him to raise his arms from side to side a little bit. And yeah, he can still cause trouble. So we are going to have a bicep swivel as well. So this way you can still get him to raise his arm up to the side, and double hinge elbows. Though I am going to suspect that's going to be a matter of a ball joint here and a ball joint there, because we can get a little bit of a rotation at the forearm as well. As you saw, the wrists are going to be on ball joints, so this way we can spin the hand around. This one on mine likes to pop off, but I'd rather it pop off than outright break. And when we do have the alternate set of hands for Monster X, that's how you swap out the hands. Folks said there was no ab crunch. There is. It's on a ball joint. And combined with the waist joint, which is a ball joint, we can twist and turn Monster X from side to side with no issues, even rear and back like that. Yeah. No issues with torso movement whatsoever. Good. For those of you who are fans of the SH Figuarts line, he does have the hinge drop-down system in the hips. So we can move his legs down like that, and he can kick out about that far forward and that far back. When we drop the hips down, we can kick out about that far to the side. Okay? That's about it for the splits. You can clearly see there are dedicated thigh swivels there and there, though mine are rather tight, and I suspect those are going to be ball joints. I can't really get them to move. Double hinge knees, as we can see there. That's about the extent of the range of movement. However, I do believe those are going to be more so ball joints than proper hinges with how they move. Ankles, I believe ball joint system, so we're going to get ankle rocker movement. He can point his toe directly down, point it up as well. No toe hinge, which I could not figure out as to why they would do that, but nevertheless. We do have a tail. Ball joint at the base. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we're going to have ball joints at the tips as well. Articulation is rather solid. A few areas which could see improvements. However, given the design, I think that the hand needs to stay on. But I think that you can get Monster X into some fun poses. Did I mention the hinge jaw? Some folks are having issues with this staying opened or closed all the way. There are some fixes going around, but I have not any idea how the issue may be there. It just works for me. So yeah, Monster X does move rather nicely. Make him center. There you go. For accessories, Monster X is just going to come with a set of splayed hands, which are used to grip Godzilla 2004's hands, turn them around, and lift him up. The hands do look very similar to the default hands that Monster X comes with, and realistically speaking, are they needed? Well, I guess if you need to be scene specific, yes, otherwise, not really, you can get away with the default hands. If they were just going to go with hands, then they should have included fists. That would have been a bit better. So if you do need support stands or effect parts, you know I have videos to help you out. Now we'll go ahead and move on over to a size comparison, so this way you can see exactly how big Monster X is, and I'd have to say rather fitting. Roughly just a little bigger than Godzilla. Gigan, did they appear side by side? Yeah, I guess kind of, sort of, but nevertheless, Monster X looks good. So buy now, skip, or wait for a deal. Monster X, the budget went into the looks department. He looks phenomenal with a couple of minor quality control issues which may vary from unit to unit. In terms of articulation, it was very clear that the initial impressions that came out from a few collectors who had him, as well as a few other reviews that went up, did not portray this figure accurately, and he is much more expressive than one may believe. With that being said, there are a few folks who had issues with loose joints and stuff popping off, so I'm not going to take away from their experience. It's something that I want you to know of. For accessories, for the price point, they really dropped the ball there, and the set of extra splayed hands, so this way he can lift up Godzilla by his hands, I don't know about that. They should have included fists. Overall, though, for about $120, I do think that this is a solid package if you're a fan of the SH MonsterArts line. All the engineering that you know and love in a more so humanoid form, so you'll get a good idea of what the SH Figuarts line offers, or even the now, rest in peace, boo-boo, defunct Ultra Act line. I do think Monster X is a nice addition to the shelf, but for those of you who maybe know the patterns, well, you gotta like special colors, don't you?
Well, collectors, that brings us to the end of the video today, and I just wanted to take a second to thank you so much for watching. Now you've heard a lot from me, I'd like to hear a little bit from you. Drop in the comments down below whether or not you liked it, you hated it, or maybe you were somewhere in between. I also want to take an extra second here for a nice, humongous thank you to all the patrons for SDR over the last month who have really helped the channel grow into what it can be today. So to all of you, 2 big thumbs up. Thank you very much. And now the end card should be popping up, which will give you a few clickable links, like maybe to subscribe or head on over to my Patreon, or some short URLs like to my social media or to my Teespring store. There's also a video I hand selected for you, so if you want to watch another STR video, I hand selected some good content for you to watch, so definitely check out that video. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'll catch ya in the next video.